What's up, LEGO fans? Welcome to my channel, Pete's Bricks, the LEGO channel for the common LEGO fan. And today we are going to be doing a comparison video. We're going to take a look at every LEGO Star Wars Cad Bane minifigure ever made. It just so happens that I have all three of them, so I thought, hey, this would be a pretty good video to make. These minifigures have been made years apart, so I think it would be really cool to see how Cad Bane used to look in the past and how he looks now. Before we get into the video, I do ask that you please leave a comment, smash the like button, and smash that subscribe button most importantly if you want to support my channel and see some more content like this. But without further ado, let's hop over to my light box and get a close look at every Cad Bane minifigure ever made. Okay, so this is the first minifigure of Cad Bane ever made by the LEGO Group. This version was released in the year 2010, and he can be found in two sets. 8128 Cad Bane Speeder, which is the set that I have, and 8098 Clone Turbo Tank. This version of Cad Bane is based off of his appearance in seasons 1 to 3 from Star Wars The Clone Wars. To make this minifigure, the LEGO Group introduced a brand new hat element for Cad Bane and his breathing apparatus, which are these tubes that attach right under the neck, and you have these two tubes on the sides that stick out and attach around back. Here's what he looks like from the back. You can see how those tubes connect to this kind of box thing behind his head, and you can see that this figure has no back printing. I really like the torso print of this minifigure. Sure, the lines might not be as crisp, or it might not look like it would today, but for the time, right, 2010, I think it looks pretty good. If I have to criticize it, I would say that it should have had a print that followed from the jacket on the torso down over the legs, since in the show he did kind of have a long trench coat look. I took off the hat so you have a better look at his face print, and I gotta say, that looks pretty good. He has the breathing apparatus that are kind of in his cheeks there. The Lego piece doesn't physically jump onto the head, so they represented that extending on his face with a print. I like the eyes. I like the shade of blue they use, the darker blue printing. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good and a pretty accurate Cad Bane face. One thing I did want to point out was that when I was looking at pictures of the sets that he came in, he had two of the more longer standard blasters in his hands in place of these shorter blasters, which are actually more appropriate for the character. I probably swapped them out and just forgot because I thought that these looked a lot better. And as you'll see with the newest version of Cad Bane, he also features this length of blaster. So, you know, just in case anyone in the comments was going to point that out, I did change it. As I said earlier, this Cad Bane is from seasons 1 to 3 of The Clone Wars, and some of my favorite episodes which feature this look include Hostage Crisis, Hunt for Zero, and Children of the Force. Now we're going to move on to the next Cad Bane look. This here is Cad Bane's Season 4 look from Star Wars The Clone Wars. He can be found in set 75024 HH-87 Starhopper, and he was released in the year of 2013, 3 years after the first one. So one reason why he looks so different was because, well, in the episodes this was featured in, he just broke out of prison, and he and the other group of bounty hunters went and they just kind of found some different clothing and armor to put on. So this is why he looks a bit different. Flipping this figure around, he does feature some back printing, which is a huge improvement in my opinion from the first figure. Removing his hat, he has a very similar face print to the first version of Cad Bane, minus the gray things on his cheeks, because this version of Cad Bane no longer has the breathing tubes, probably because after breaking out of prison, he couldn't find any. Overall, I think this is a pretty good Cad Bane figure, though he's definitely my least favorite of the three. Some episodes which you can find this version in are the 4-part arc from The Clone Wars Season 4. The episodes are Deception, Friends and Enemies, one of my favorite episodes, The Box, and the finale of that arc, Crisis on Naboo. From 2013 to 2022, we got no new Cad Bane figures until, well, this year, 2022. And what we got is definitely a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. And this is definitely my favorite Cad Bane minifigure of all time, which is the best of the three. And yeah, there's just so much to unpack here. It can be found in set 75323, the Justifier, which is a pretty expensive set to get just for this. But in my opinion, being a huge Star Wars and a huge Cad Bane fan, I had to get it. This version of Cad Bane is not from the Clone Wars. He is based on his appearance from the show The Bad Batch, which is basically a sequel show to the Clone Wars. He features a brand new and accurate hat to his appearance in the show. I do kind of miss the old hat because it was so big and kind of floppy and cool, but this does match how he looks in the show now. I guess he just decided to go for a smaller hat. Still, I think it looks really good. I definitely wanted to talk about the amount of print on here. Just comparing it to the first version from 2010 on the left to the 2022 version right there on the right, you can just tell how the printing on the torso, the legs, the waist, how it's improved drastically over the years. This minifigure did come with those shorter pistols, which are more accurate. He features brown torso, brown waist, brown legs, of course the brown hat, and he has black arms. With this figure, we see the return of Cad Bane's breathing apparatus, which is very similar to the one he had in season 1 to 3, but it's a bit different. As I showed you with the first figure, it didn't really go onto the minifigure's head, so it had to be implied through printing. But with this version, it's a bit more of a rubbery piece, so it's able to be a bit more flexible and it goes right up onto the minifigure's face. There's a look from the back at that box where the tubes connect, and here is a closer look at the minifigure's face without his hat. The printing is similar to the other prints, but I think this looks even better for some reason. I like the eyes, the dark blue lines used to kind of outline the nose that he doesn't have. This head is probably the best head for Cad Bane ever, mainly because it's printed on that dark, it's kind of a metallic, I think it's called gunmetal gray, kind of balaclava that wraps around his head. If we want to talk accuracy, this older Cad Bane head should have looked more like this newer Cad Bane head. But let's take one last look at this figure without the breathing tubes. So that's what he looks like without his breathing tubes. They have a little printing there on those kind of cheek sections, which is not really needed, but I appreciate it anyway, since it's going to be covered up most of the time. And in case anyone was wondering, this is what the 2010 Cad Bane looks like with the 2022 head, and this is what it looks like with the 2022 head and the 2022 breathing apparatus, though I'm not sure that the breathing tubes, the new ones, are accurate to the older ones. So if you'd like to upgrade your original Cad Bane figure, I would suggest just leaving the older tubes, but just using the new head. Finally, here's a quick look at all 3 Cad Bane minifigures all together. Feel free to pause the video to look at all the different details, but it's pretty clear how Cad Bane has evolved over the years, from no printed legs, no back printing, to back printing, to just full-on body, torso, waist, leg print. New head, new hat, new breathing tubes. I think you can tell how much I really like this new figure, though these are the Cad Bane figures of my childhood, so they'll always have a special place in my LEGO collection. But on a purely objective look at these minifigures, the newest Cad Bane minifigure is by far the best. Well, there you have it. There's every Cad Bane minifigure ever made. In the comments, let me know which Cad Bane is your favorite version. Are you going to buy the new Justifier set just to get the new Cad Bane figure like I did? Is it worth it? Or maybe you'd like to purchase any of the other ones on Bricklink or eBay or different buying sites on the internet. Personally, I suggest if you really like this new Cad Bane just to buy the set. So when I was making this video, I caught a glance of how much these Cad Bane minifigures are worth, and all 3 of them are surprisingly within the $30 to $40 range. So not that much considering the newest version is currently in a set available now. Still, the set that he's in is what, $180 was it, or $170? It's pretty up there. So if you really like Cad Bane like I do, I think that the set is a must-have. You're gonna probably end up getting it eventually. I just kind of, I didn't wait for like a discount or anything. I just went ahead and got it. I could have waited, but hey, if I hadn't bought it, I would not have been able to make this video. So that's one of the reasons I kind of justified the kind of large expense for that set for myself. But anyway, if you haven't already, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.